Good morning. Welcome aboard another day of Building EV. Sorry for the absence. Sweden was great fun, walking on lakes and seeing big pirate ship type things. Anyway, I apologise for not putting anything up for the past couple of days. I have been struggling to put up a bit of ceiling, which, as you can see, is up. But it really didn't make for good viewing. I've been trying to edit it. It's just shite, and so I'm not putting it up. But anyway, so the reason for I've been struggling is because up here, at the end of each thing, then there's one of these little widgets, which is a lighting dimmer controller, and I've been trying to brace them in place because I need to be able to get to a little hole there to poke them occasionally, and so it's been awkward, and to say nothing of getting the size right, because this has to be millimeter perfect. I think you can probably just about see in there. So anyway, actually, I think that was the easy side. This side is more misshapen. So anyway, but having learned what I've learned, then hopefully it'll go a bit easier. And also, my dad came over and got me a bit on track of moving things along, and one of the skirting board rads is almost in place. But so that's cool. So anyway, there you go. There's the absence. I'm not wasting any more time on the previous stuff. We'll go forward from here. I've actually done this before, but this is me checking that I can actually get a piece of plywood underneath each of the lighting strips, which is crucial. So unfortunately, I'd cut down all of the previous offcuts that I was using on the other side while I was marking things out and what have you. So this is me cutting a piece that is exactly the third of the sheet, so the same as the pieces that I have to work with. I'll still need to cut this down, as you will be able to see in just a minute. I'll show you just how much difference there is between one end and the other. There we go. It's a bit over half an inch, I guess. So anyway, following along, then measure 37 times and cut once, hopefully. Honestly, because this is millimeter important, then I've started using a knife to mark where I want this. Oh, you can't turn a track all around in a boat when it's at full length, so you have to go outside. Anyway, because I haven't got the access enough underneath to put a clamp, then I had to use a weight, which seems to work reasonably well, because otherwise the tracks have a habit of moving just a little bit. But as I say, when working with millimeters, then it matters. So here I am finding out that some of the wires are getting caught on some of the insulation, so a bit of knifing, a bit of chiseling just allows them to lift up a little bit more and not get in the way of the board as I try and kind of lift it onto the little supports at the edge. Anyway, I found out that it's an extra bit too wide, so this is literally taking 2 mil off the edge, but better that way than the other. As you can see, I run up and down the track a number of times to try and get this right, and there we go. So that's done. Now try and put it in place again. This is cut dead straight at the moment. I haven't even tried to do the taper to come in for the bow. Just to explain a little what I'm trying to do, you might notice that I've taken these blocks out because they were getting in the way, because when I am putting the board up, then I put it up on top of these little bits that stick up, and then it goes into these channels, which enables it to drop down in front of that, so the board ends up just here. So this is where I started trying to kind of accommodate the taper. It's not really at the bow or anything, it's just, I think the vagaries of narrowboats are never quite straight, square, whatever you think they should be. But because this is only located widthways at sort of 4 points, then that really shouldn't be too much of a disaster. I had a brilliant idea of making a little holder, so that's much better than what I was trying to do before with balancing it on insulation and things. I did try and use the same cross braces as I did when I was putting up the channels, but they didn't work.
You can see that it has dropped in there and all the way along, but not here, and not on this last one. We've got a tiny amount. I don't think it's going to go. I'm going to have to take it down again.
As with anything, the more times you do something, the more practiced you are, the easier it gets. So taking it down is easier, and putting it back up is easier. Finding the places to cut is easier, etc., etc., etc. So anyway, having done that, then it lifted it up, hung it in place on the new little hooky thing, and then just kind of slid it sideways in and let it drop. And well, it worked. I didn't freeze it, but there's a happy Jeremy in it. Right, following that success, then I shall now be inserting the rest of the LED channels and the little end covers that go on them. Something like this. They go into the end, but these screws are very particular about how high they need to be. Once the LED channel is on them, then it controls how much space here I've got to get the wood in, which is pretty critical. So I'm not going to bother filming that because you can't see me doing it anyway, but that's what I'm doing. And as usual, and as soon as I tell you that I'm going to do one thing, then I realise that I should do something else. I've thought that if I silicon in place these little Zigbee controllers, then they'll be dry and they're less likely to move when I'm adjusting things or whatever. So I just put a bit of silicone on each one and put some wedges to hold them in place while that's drying, and they're just located above the holes. Right, well, I think that's me. I've got the all the starboard channels in the right places. Got a few more connections to make so that they're kind of permanent, and put ferrules on them and cut them to the appropriate lengths and stuff. But I will show you me doing the ones on the port side. Now that I've got a decent sort of technique, then you can watch me do it rather than watch me struggle. Anyway, Sunday has turned into a good day. There's somebody that just binge watched the whole thing. Thank you very much. Your comment lifted me today, so that's cool. But I'm not one for the social medias and things, so I find it a bit bizarre how much these things are effective and nice. So thank you, and thanks other people for the comments on the other one that I did last week before off to Sweden. Again, this week has been something of a struggle, but so the first board was hell on earth. This second board was comparatively straightforward and actually far more complicated in terms of its dimensions and stuff. It's not dead straight. So I'm kind of looking forward to tomorrow now because I'll see how far we get.